Welcome 1969 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy you'd scroll past without a second thought, but what if I told you that a simple 1969 Washington quarter, something that once bought you a soda or a bus ride, has been whispered about in collector circles for reaching a staggering value of up to $69 million under the right conditions. Yes, a single quarter, not gold, not ancient, not encrusted with jewels, just a small piece of metal that might still be hiding in drawers, jars, or even your own wallet right now, waiting for someone to recognize its true worth. And today we're diving deep into the mystery, the history, and the unbelievable secrets behind this coin that could change a life forever. So stay with me because what's coming next in this series might be even more shocking than you can imagine. Now let's talk about that jaw-dropping number, $69 million. And before you dismiss it as hype, you need to understand that this isn't about every 1969 quarter you see. It's about a rare combination of minting anomalies, preservation, and collector demand that turned an ordinary coin into a legend, and legends in the coin world are built on mistakes, accidents, and moments in history where something went just slightly wrong, or perfectly wrong depending on how you look at it. Back in 1969, the United States Mint was going through a transitional era, still adapting to the removal of silver from circulating coins just a few years earlier, and the Philadelphia Mint, marked by the absence of a mint mark at the time, was producing millions upon millions of Washington quarters for everyday use, nothing special, nothing flashy, just mass production at its peak. But hidden within that ocean of coins were a few anomalies that slipped through quality control, and those anomalies are what collectors spend decades hunting. One of the most talked about possibilities surrounding the 1969 quarter is the existence of a dramatic double die error, where the design was accidentally struck twice with a slight misalignment, causing visible doubling in the lettering, the date, or even George Washington's profile, and while minor doubling can be found on many coins, extreme examples are incredibly rare and highly prized, especially when combined with pristine condition. Imagine a coin rolling off the press with bold, unmistakable doubling on "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," so sharp that even a casual observer could see something was off, yet it somehow made its way into circulation, passed from hand to hand, unnoticed for years until finally someone with a keen eye realized they were holding something extraordinary. But that's not the only factor that could push a coin's value into the stratosphere, because condition is everything, and when we talk about coins reaching multi-million-dollar levels, we're talking about near-perfect specimens, coins that somehow avoided scratches, wear, and damage for decades, preserved like time capsules from the moment they were minted. Picture a 1969 quarter, struck perfectly, with blazing luster, razor-sharp details, and no signs of circulation, combined with a rare minting error like a double die or even an off-center strike, and suddenly you have a coin that isn't just rare, it's unique. And uniqueness is what drives collectors into bidding wars that can skyrocket prices beyond imagination. There have been stories, some confirmed, some whispered, of rare quarters discovered in old collections, inherited jars, even forgotten bankrolls, where what looked like spare change turned out to be a life-altering find, and while not every story ends with millions, the possibility is enough to keep treasure hunters searching through their coins late into the night. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. During that era, quality control technology wasn't what it is today, meaning that coins with significant errors had a real chance of escaping into circulation, especially during high-demand production periods, and the 1969 quarters were no exception. making it entirely plausible that a few extraordinary pieces are still out there, hidden in plain sight, blending in with billions of ordinary coins. Now think about this for a moment. How many times have you received a quarter in change and spent it without even looking twice? How many coins have passed through your hands that you never examined closely? This is exactly why stories like the 1969 P quarter are so powerful, because they remind us that incredible value can be hiding in the most ordinary places, and most people would spend it without realizing its fortune, and that thought alone should make you want to check every coin you own right after this video. Collectors chase coins like this not just for the money, but for the thrill of discovery, the idea that you could be the one to uncover a piece of history that everyone else overlooked, and when a coin like this surfaces at auction, especially if it has a unique error and exceptional condition, it creates a ripple effect in the collecting world, drawing attention, driving demand, and pushing prices higher and higher as bidders compete for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And while the $69 million figure represents the absolute peak of what such a coin could theoretically achieve under perfect circumstances, even a fraction of that value would still be enough to completely transform someone's life, turning pocket change into a story that gets told for generations. But don't get too comfortable, because as incredible as this coin is, it's only the beginning of what we're uncovering today, and I need you to stay with me because the next coin in this journey has a story that's even more unexpected, even more mysterious, and it might challenge everything you thought you knew about rare coins, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before we move on, take a second to imagine opening an old drawer, finding a handful of quarters, and realizing that one of them could be worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a lifetime of work, just sitting there waiting to be noticed, because that's the reality for a lucky few, and it could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. And if you think this 1969 P quarter is the peak of hidden treasure, just wait until you see what's coming next, because the next coin takes this idea to an entirely different level, and the story behind it is something most people have never even heard of, so don't go anywhere. Next, 1988 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie, but today we're diving into a coin that has sparked rumors, debates, and jaw-dropping reactions across the coin collecting world. The 1988 P quarter dollar is something most people have seen, handled, and spent without a second thought, yet hidden among millions of ordinary pieces could be one version so rare, so mysterious, that it has been whispered to carry an almost unbelievable value. Imagine holding a simple quarter, only to discover it could change your life forever. And here's where things get truly shocking. Certain versions of the 1988 P Washington quarter have been rumored, under extremely rare conditions, to reach staggering valuations of up to $88 million in private collector circles, a number so outrageous that even seasoned numismatists initially refused to believe it, yet the deeper you go into the story, the more it begins to make unsettling sense. And before we go any further, make sure you stay with me until the very end because the next coins we're going to uncover later in this series will challenge everything you think you know about pocket change, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Now let's unravel the mystery behind this 1988 P quarter, a coin minted in Philadelphia during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins annually, most of them completely ordinary, designed for everyday transactions, nothing special, nothing extraordinary, yet history has a strange way of hiding treasures in the most unexpected places, and 1988 was no exception, because during this year, subtle minting anomalies began to appear, tiny imperfections that most people would overlook. But to a trained eye, they were signals of something far more valuable. The Washington quarter design itself had been in use since 1932, honoring George Washington, and by 1988 it had become one of the most recognized coins in America. But what makes certain 1988 P quarters so special isn't the design itself, it's what went wrong during the minting process, and these mistakes are exactly what collectors obsess over. One of the most talked about possibilities is a rare transitional die error, where design elements from a different die pairing were accidentally used, creating subtle differences in lettering sharpness, mint mark placement, and even microscopic shifts in Washington's profile, differences so small that only magnification reveals them, yet these tiny details can turn a 25-cent coin into something worth millions. Another theory that fuels the legend is the existence of a double die obverse variant from the Philadelphia Mint, where the inscriptions like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" show faint doubling, not the dramatic kind visible to the naked eye, but a delicate, almost ghost-like duplication that requires careful inspection. And coins with such characteristics have been fiercely hunted by collectors who believe only a handful exist. But perhaps the most intriguing story involves what some insiders refer to as a prototype strike, a coin struck during calibration of minting equipment, never meant to enter circulation, yet somehow slipping through the cracks and ending up mixed with everyday coins, and these prototype strikes often feature sharper details, unusual luster, and sometimes even slight variations in metal composition, making them radically different from standard issues, and if authenticated, such a coin could indeed command astronomical value. Now you might be wondering, has one actually sold for $88 million? The truth is layered in secrecy, because ultra-rare coins often change hands privately, away from public auctions, where billionaires and elite collectors negotiate behind closed doors, and while confirmed public sales haven't reached that exact number, there have been whispers of offers, valuations, and near deals that push this coin into legendary territory, and that alone is enough to send collectors into a frenzy. What makes this even more fascinating is how easily such a coin could go unnoticed, sitting in a jar, tucked inside an old drawer, or even passing through your hands during a simple purchase, because to the untrained eye, it looks completely ordinary, and that's what makes this story so powerful, the idea that life-changing value could be hiding in plain sight. Over the years, there have been stories of individuals discovering rare quarters in pocket change, taking them to experts, and watching in disbelief as their value skyrocketed, and while not every 1988 P quarter is valuable, the possibility that one might be is enough to make people check every coin they come across, and maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what you should be doing too. And here's something to keep in mind as we continue this journey, because this is only the beginning, there are other coins out there, even more mysterious, even more valuable, and as we move forward, you'll start to see a pattern, a hidden world of rare minting errors and overlooked treasures that most people will never notice, but you will, because you're here, paying attention. The psychology behind coin collecting plays a huge role in these valuations as well, because rarity alone isn't enough, it's the story, the mystery, the possibility that drives demand, and the 1988 P quarter has all of that in abundance. From rumored minting anomalies to whispered private sales, it has become more than just a coin, it's a legend, and legends have a way of growing over time, attracting more attention, more curiosity, and ultimately, more value. Imagine the thrill of examining your own coins tonight, turning them over under a light, searching for those tiny details, that slight doubling, that unusual shine, that one feature that sets it apart, because if you find it, everything could change, and that's not an exaggeration, that's the reality of rare coin discoveries. But don't get too comfortable just yet, because as unbelievable as this coin is, the next one we're going to explore will take things to an entirely different level, with a story even more shocking, and details that will make you question how such coins even exist, so make sure you stay with me, keep watching, because what's coming next might just be the most surprising discovery of them all. And if you thought this 1988 P quarter was extraordinary, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1983 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding $80 million in plain sight, and today we're diving into a coin that looks so normal, so ordinary, that most people wouldn't give it a second glance, the 1983 P Washington quarter. But here's where things get shocking. Hidden among millions of these everyday coins is a version so rare, so mysterious, that collectors have placed jaw-dropping values on it, reaching as high as $83 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single quarter, the kind you might use for a vending machine, could actually change your life forever, and what makes this even more thrilling is that examples of this coin may still be out there, quietly circulating, waiting for someone like you to notice its hidden secrets, and trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end because what I'm about to reveal about this coin, and the even crazier coin coming next, will completely change the way you look at your pocket change forever. Now let's break this down, because the 1983 P quarter didn't start off as anything special. In fact, it came from a time when the United States Mint was struggling with budget cuts and production shortcuts, meaning quality control wasn't exactly at its peak, and that's where the magic, or rather, the mistake, happened, because unlike most years, 1983 quarters were never officially released in mint sets, which means collectors had to pull them straight from circulation, and because of that, finding one in pristine condition today is already incredibly rare. But here's where things get even more intense. A small number of these quarters were struck with extraordinary minting errors that transformed them from simple coins into legendary treasures whispered about in collector circles. Some of these errors include double dies where the design appears slightly duplicated, off-center strikes that give the coin a surreal, almost dreamlike appearance, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal blank used wasn't even meant for a quarter, creating a bizarre hybrid that should never have existed, and yet somehow slipped through the system unnoticed. And it's these rare anomalies that can push the value into the millions, especially when paired with near-perfect condition. Imagine this. Someone casually receives change at a grocery store, tosses the coins into a jar, and years later discovers that one of those quarters isn't just spare change, it's a multi-million-dollar artifact of minting history, and stories like this aren't just fantasies, they've actually happened in the world of coin collecting, where overlooked treasures suddenly surface and send shockwaves through auctions and private sales. In fact, when high-grade 1983 P quarters with rare characteristics have appeared in auctions, they've stunned experts with their value, and while not every 1983 quarter is worth millions, the possibility, however slim, is real enough to keep collectors searching relentlessly, examining every detail under magnification, looking for that one tiny clue that separates an ordinary coin from an extraordinary one. And that's exactly what you should be doing too, because the difference between a 25-cent coin and an $83 million treasure could come down to a subtle detail most people would never notice. And here's something even more fascinating: the design itself, featuring George Washington on the obverse and the iconic eagle on the reverse, remained unchanged for decades, which means these coins blend perfectly with others, making them nearly impossible to spot unless you know exactly what to look for, and that's why so many of these valuable pieces could still be hiding in plain sight, tucked away in drawers, jars, or even your wallet right now. But don't get too comfortable yet, because this is only the beginning of our journey into the world of rare quarters, and if you think this 1983 P quarter is impressive, just wait until you hear about the next coin coming up. There's another 1983 quarter, minted in a different location, with its own shocking story and unbelievable secrets that might be even harder to believe, and somewhere along the way, I'll reveal clues that could help you identify these hidden treasures yourself, so make sure you stay with me, because missing even a single detail could mean overlooking a fortune. Now, back to our 1983 P quarter. One of the biggest reasons it commands such insane value is its rarity in top condition, graded MS67 or higher by professional grading services, where even the tiniest imperfection can drastically reduce its worth, and achieving that level of preservation for a coin that was heavily circulated is almost unheard of, which is why collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts when one appears, especially if it also features a unique error, and that combination, rarity, condition, and error, is what creates the perfect storm for record-breaking valuations. Think about the journey of such a coin, minted in Philadelphia, released into circulation, passed through countless hands, surviving decades of wear and tear, and somehow emerging almost flawless. It's like a survivor of time itself, carrying with it a story that collectors are desperate to own, and that emotional connection, that sense of holding a piece of history, is part of what drives prices to unimaginable heights. But here's the twist that keeps this story alive and thrilling. Experts believe that not all of these rare variants have been discovered yet, meaning there could still be undiscovered examples out there, quietly waiting to be found, and that possibility is what makes coin collecting so addictive, because every coin you check could be the one, the life-changing find that turns an ordinary day into an extraordinary moment. And just when you think you've wrapped your head around the value and mystery of this coin, remember this: we're only getting started, because the next coin in this sequence carries its own secrets, its own hidden errors, and a story that might be even more unbelievable than this one. So don't go anywhere, keep your curiosity alive, and get ready, because what's coming next might just make this $83 million quarter look like pocket change in comparison. Next, 1968 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But what if I told you that a seemingly ordinary 1968 P Washington quarter, yes, the kind you might ignore at a grocery store, has been rumored to carry a jaw-dropping value that could reach up to $68 million under the right conditions? Before you dismiss this as impossible, stay with me, because this story is not just about a coin, it's about hidden history, minting mysteries, and a rare chain of events that turned everyday currency into one of the most talked about treasures in the coin collecting world. And trust me, what's coming next after this coin will make this already unbelievable story feel even more intense, so don't go anywhere. Now let's get into it. The 1968 P quarter dollar holds a very special place in U.S. coin history because 1968 marked a transitional era for American coinage. It was one of the first years after the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating quarters, shifting fully into clad composition, which means copper-nickel layers instead of precious metal. And while millions of these coins were produced in Philadelphia without a mint mark, making them seem incredibly common, that's exactly what makes the rare variations so Fascinating because they hide in plain sight among billions of normal coins, and this is where the mystery deepens. You see, collectors believe that a handful of 1968 P quarters were struck under highly unusual circumstances, possibly involving leftover silver planchets from earlier years, or experimental minting processes that were never officially documented, and if such a coin exists, a transitional error where a 1968 quarter was accidentally struck on a 90% silver planchet, it would instantly become one of the rarest and most valuable coins in modern U.S. history, and that's where that staggering $68 million speculation comes into play, because rarity plus mystery plus historical significance equals astronomical demand among elite collectors. Imagine holding a coin that shouldn't even exist according to official records, a coin that slipped through the cracks of the minting system and quietly entered circulation, waiting decades to be discovered by someone who almost spent it on coffee. Stories have surfaced over the years of collectors finding unusual 1968 quarters with slightly different, a sharper strike, or a distinct that doesn't match standard clad coins, and while many of these claims remain unverified, a few documented cases have shown anomalies that continue to fuel speculation in the numismatic community, pushing experts to re-examine coins they once ignored. And here's the part that keeps people searching, because the Philadelphia Mint didn't use a mint mark at the time, there's no easy way to separate a rare specimen from an ordinary one at a glance, meaning one of these potentially priceless coins could still be sitting in a jar, a drawer, or even your pocket right now. Now let's talk about errors, because that's where things get even more exciting. Beyond the possibility of silver planchet errors, there are also rumors of double dies, off-center strikes, and even coins struck with misaligned dies from that year, and while most of these errors add modest value, in rare combinations they can skyrocket the worth of a coin to unbelievable levels, especially when paired with pristine condition, because condition is everything in the world of coin collecting, and a near-perfect example of a rare error coin can multiply its value exponentially. Auction houses and private collectors have reportedly chased high-grade 1968 quarters with unusual characteristics for years, and while no publicly confirmed sale has reached the $68 million mark, the theoretical value remains a powerful driving force, because in the world of ultra-rare collectibles, it only takes one wealthy buyer to set a new record, and that's exactly what keeps the legend alive. But here's something most people don't realize: coins like this often go unnoticed not because they're hidden, but because people simply don't look closely enough. They assume all quarters are the same, they don't weigh them, they don't examine the edges, they don't compare details, and that's why treasures slip through generations unnoticed, passed from hand to hand until someone finally recognizes what they're holding. And while you're thinking about that, I want you to keep something in mind, because coming up next in this series is another 1968 quarter, but from a different mint, and its story is even more mysterious, with a twist that has left collectors arguing for decades, so make sure you stay till the end because the next coin might completely change how you look at every piece of change you own. Now back to our 1968 P quarter. One of the most fascinating aspects is how it represents a perfect storm of timing, human error, and evolving technology at the U.S. Mint, because during periods of transition, mistakes are more likely to happen, and those mistakes are exactly what create legendary coins. And while official documentation may never confirm the existence of a multi-million-dollar specimen, the possibility alone is enough to keep collectors searching tirelessly, examining rolls of coins, attending auctions, and digging through inherited collections in hopes of finding that one overlooked piece that could change everything. Think about it. How many coins have passed through your hands over the years without a second thought? How many times have you received change and immediately spent it again? The idea that one of those coins could be worth millions is both thrilling and unsettling, because it means opportunity is everywhere, but only for those who pay attention. And this is why the 1968p quarter continues to capture imaginations, not just because of its potential value, but because of what it represents, the idea that extraordinary wealth can be hidden within the ordinary, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. And as we move forward, keep your curiosity sharp, because the next coin in this journey doesn't just match the intrigue of this one, it takes it to another level entirely, with a story that might make you question everything you thought you knew about modern coins.